Sometimes I wonder, like about domestic violence. Like, I think it can happen to anybody. Like, it doesn't matter how you grow up. It's just like a man. It's just on the man, I guess. Like, if they see a vulnerable woman, like, she could grow up in a really nice background and still be in a domestic violent relationship.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Bunny Hugs and Mental Health, free safe space for people to share and learn from others' experiences with mental health and addictions. I'm Todd Rennebaum, suicide attempt survivor and a recovering substance abuser. Before we get into the episode, I just want to let everyone know that it's a pretty heavy episode this week. There's going to be a little bit of explaining to do before we get into it. But before I do that, I just want to say thank you so much for coming. Please check out the YouTube channel, Bunny Hugs and Mental Health. Please check out the show notes. There is links there to Bunny Hugs and Mental Health merch store, where there's shirts and hoodies and mugs and stickers and whatever. And also, please, if you like this podcast and you would like to support me in any way, shape, or form, then you could please buy me a coffee, and there's a link in the show notes for that as well. And quickly, thank you, Co-op, for sponsoring this episode. Okay, now this episode is with a lovely lady. Her name is Vanessa Burns. Vanessa's partner, Myles Sanderson, on September 4th, 2022, killed 11 people and injured 18 in a mass stabbing at 13 different locations on the James Smith Cree Nation and one in Weldon, small town in Saskatchewan, Canada. One of the lives taken that day was Vanessa's father, and one was actually Myles' brother, Damien. Myles was then on the run for 3 days. There was a massive manhunt for him, and there was all types of alerts. Cell phones were going crazy around here, and he was eventually caught. And not too long after being in custody, he ended up passing away. Just recently, in January, February, there was an inquest done on the events that happened that day, including his death. And as it was rumored over the last year and a half since it happened, the inquest has shown that shortly after Myles was ran off the road by the police, he then consumed massive amounts of cocaine, and he died of an overdose shortly thereafter. Vanessa and Myles lived in the city of Saskatoon, but it's not too far from the community where all the murders happened, and they both had lots of family in that community. Vanessa is now a single mother of 5. They had 5 children together. I spoke with Vanessa a few days after the inquest's results came out. So without further ado, I give you Vanessa. All right, since the inquiry, have you been able to kind of relax and soak it all in, and or is it still heavily on your mind?
I've been able to relax, yes, for sure.
Oh, good.
Finding out the things that we found out was closure.
From both, because there was the inquiry about the whole day and about the events that happened and how things could have been prevented and stuff. And then there was also an inquiry, I think it was called an inquiry.
I'm pretty sure it's inquest. I think there's an
inquest.
Yeah.
Okay. An inquest about Myles' death.
Yeah.
So, but they both happened last month.
Yes.
Basically. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first inquest about stuff that could have been prevented and about the day and everything that went wrong. Are you happy with the recommendations? Was it a jury? I think it's a jury that made the decisions.
Yeah, they were pretty good recommendations. It just depends on the agencies, I guess, if they think they need more work. But the RC and PIC are really trying on their part with these recommendations, especially the domestic violence part. I'm pretty sure they're cracking down on repeat offenders. I read someplace. I read that.
Reading, it was 2 days before the whole event happened. They actually had talked to him, but they had an old photograph, so they didn't realize they were even talking to him. Is that right?
I believe that was his brother. They mistaken.
Oh, I see.
Because he gained a lot of weight, and there's lots of controversy happening there. So we don't really know what really happened that night. So.
Yeah, I think one of the results of the inquest was have more up-to-date photos of who you're looking for. You can't just sneak out of situations like that.
Yeah, a really outdated photo, for sure. Even looking at the SGI cards, right? There's a way, because you have to get that updated.
Yeah, right, or just go on their Facebook or
Yeah, for sure, right? Yeah.
So I'm kind of more interested in your side of everything. So do you mind kind of like going way back and like how you guys met and yeah, kind of your relationship in the early years?
We met back in early 2007, I believe. Such a long time ago. And we just kind of developed a friendship, just like hanging out. And there was no phones back then or no Facebook. So we just would phone each other like on the landlines and like meet up. We would drink a lot. So that was
Right.
an issue to the beginning of our problems, I guess. Let's just say the drinking. Yeah.
Right. And did you grow up on James Smith Cree Nation?
Yeah, pretty much.
But he didn't.
Him, back and forth. Back and forth.
Okay.
Mostly in the city, I believe.
Of Saskatoon.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys knew each other because you probably had mutual friends and...
Our siblings were dating at the time. Our older siblings.
Oh.
So that's how we met. And yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he would come over
okay.
and we just would hang out randomly, I guess, sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And then that turned into, hey, this guy seems pretty good. And you start talking more often and he came around more often.
Right. It's always good in the beginning, sometimes.
Yeah. So at what point in the relationship did you start seeing some red flags maybe or things started to, I don't know.
When we
go
started hanging
sideways?
around with like my family, he would get like jealous of certain people. That was a red flag.
He'd get jealous?
Yeah.
He'd get jealous of your own family?
Oh, no, like in-laws. Like if there was a new guy there. No, not my family, but like if there was a guy that was not related to my family there, he would get a little jealous over that. We would argue about it, but not too much. That was about the first red flag, but I didn't really think anything of it until years later.
Yeah, when you're young and dating and immature, I mean, people are jealous and do stupid shit. I know I did stupid shit when I was first dating my wife. It was like, oh my God, we were just dumb kids. But at what point did you start to actually like get scared of some of his behavior? Was there an incident, like an incident that happened that you were like, oh, this is
he would get a little violent a couple months after. Well, not really extremely violent. Like, just say he would push me, or I don't even know how to say it, push me down, or stuff like that. And then it started occurring when we would drink. Like, he would get violent when we would drink. So then I thought maybe it's just the drinking, right? And then it kind of started happening when we were sober, and I didn't know what to think. I guess I was just a little ashamed, like, and surprised, like, that it happened to me in the beginning. So I just kind of kept quiet about it, acted like it was nothing.
And was that kind of behavior, like where you kind of grew up around some of that behavior, so it didn't seem completely abnormal to you?
No, I didn't grow up in that kind of behavior. Like, my parents weren't like that. So, but my dad was kind of like a disciplined kind of person. Like, so he was a little hard on, like, when we get into trouble, we get a spank. I don't know if I can put that out there, but, or like we get yelled
Sure,
at.
I was spanked.
Right?
Different
we
time.
got spanked back then. So, yeah, stuff like that.
Hopefully mom's not listening, but I remember her breaking a wooden spoon over our ass.
Right? Or like, in our culture, we like have to go pick out a willow.
Right. Fetch me a switch.
Yeah, I take forever. By the time I got back, he was cooled off. So yeah, sometimes I wonder like about domestic violence. Like, I think it can happen to anybody. Like, it doesn't matter how you grow up. It's just like a man. It's just on the man, I guess. Like, if they see a vulnerable woman, like, she could grow up in a really nice background and still be in a domestic violent relationship, because a man knows what they're doing and they know how to manipulate and make a woman and stay in those cycles. Also, too, like, the residential school too is in my family, so that could be a link. I'm not too sure. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, the whole generational trauma thing, and it's very complex, all of this stuff, and
right.
and I'm glad people are starting to finally talk about this stuff and starting to wrap their minds around it a bit. So, um, was Myles? Did he grow up around violence, or was his family in residential schools and stuff?
His grandfather was, and I think it's like a cycle in their family. Like it came from that side, and it just was passed down. Like they didn't know it was wrong at the time. Like some families think things are normal, but it turns out they're not. So
yeah. Yeah, and not that we're justifying or making excuses. It's just, and I think a lot of people don't realize, like, being Indigenous, growing up in a residential school, people didn't raise their children because they were taken away. So then when they grow up and start having kids, they didn't have a parent to emulate or have to look up to, I guess. You didn't have so then all you've known was abuse and violence. So then and that's how it passes on. So, so a lot of my listeners are American, and I don't know if a lot of them understand exactly what residential schools are. But when did he start getting to the point that? Because I know at some point you started calling police and stuff on him, and he was also there and gone because he was going to jail at times and stuff. But you kind of stood by your man. I guess as it was.
I guess you could say that.
Or did he? Well, I guess when he would go away for a while and he would come back from jail, were you ever tempted to say, like, just go, don't keep coming back?
Oh man, there's lots of times, like so many times. Yeah. But he always wanted to make it work. Because I don't know why. That's something I just don't understand. Why me? Like. I don't know.
Well, were you his first serious relationship? Like you guys were pretty young when you got together?
I would say his second. His first girlfriend kind of left the province. I guess that should have been the red flag. So, yeah.
I suppose, looking back, right? I guess,
But he didn't really say much, like he didn't talk about her much. And he didn't say what happened.
So he would do you know what love bombing is?
I'm getting a little familiar with it as I learn about myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So he would come back from jail and love bomb you, quote unquote. It'd be like, "Oh, baby, I miss you. I love you." And I've changed. Would he say that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I want to change. And I don't know, just really extreme. Like, I want to marry you and I'm done drinking and fooling around. And
butter you up, and of course you wanted to believe it, so then you're like, okay, I missed you too, and I mean at this point you have kids together. Was it 5 kids?
Yes, we have 5
eventually. Okay, so I mean you want your kid's father around.
Yeah, for sure.
So when he says stuff like that, then he comes home. Why not? How many times do you know? How many times he kind of came and left and went back to jail, came back, and
there was a lot of times. I can't even count.
Was there family or friends that would be like, "What the hell are you doing, Vanessa? Why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep bringing him back?"
There's a few of even his family that warned me about him, like his granny, his late granny, and his brother, one of his brothers, his older brother, the one that was dating my sister. But I didn't listen, of course.
Yeah, and this is what, like you said, you don't need a history of abuse. I mean, if you fall in love and you have kids and you want to believe the person you're in love with is a good person and they keep making promises, and
for sure.
It's a slow process too, right? It's not like just overnight he was how he was, but
a very slow process. It's like they just know how to, I don't know, get somebody, I guess, how to play somebody's emotions and keep them coming back. Also lowering your self-esteem at the same time, so you really don't think you're good enough, because that's what they make you believe. So, And then he also would still instill fear in me. Like, if I ever moved on, he would threaten my life or whoever I moved on's with life. So I take that serious. But I don't know. I just was scared of that.
Yeah. It's almost like there's a term, I can't say that word either. Coercive control. Have you heard that term? Yeah. It's kind of like cult leaders do the same thing. They love bomb you and make you feel wanted and seen, and then they manipulate you and take advantage of you and make it so scary to think you can't have them in your life and threaten you with things. And yeah, it's, I mean, lots of people, it can happen to anybody, like you said. Yeah. That must have been intense, even having his own family tell you, like,
oh yeah, I
get
think
away
about
from
that
him.
now, and yeah, it's just so clear to me that they said that to me before, and I didn't listen. And this is here we are today. So also about all like that abuse stuff, like the residential school, I feel like it made my generation like submissive to accepting dysfunction and abuse and stuff like that. Like I just kind of just learned that too, like what submissive to abuse means. It's just like kind of like accepting this dysfunctional life. Like if you think back on my ancestors, like how they lived, they did not live with trauma or drugs or alcohol. So that's what we have to deal with today. It's hard.
And I suppose, is there kind of shame behind that? Because like if I was manipulated, doesn't matter how manipulated in however way, once it, you know, comes out in the wash that I had been manipulated, like you feel like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
Or like I felt like such an idiot. But to have an entire people feel that way, terrible feeling.
Sure.
And then along with the shame comes anger and resentment and yeah. Sorry, let me get my mind together here.
No,
this is why I edit.
Okay. It's okay.
I edit because I constantly screw up. Okay.
I'm usually really nervous on these, but today I'm actually not. So weird.
You're not nervous. No, but I am. Huh.
Usually I am.
It's my good looks.
Your vibes.
Yes, my vibes.
The fact that you're not like a media outlet. Well, like, you know, the media, like I normally talk to like global news and stuff like that. So
have you done a lot of interviews for the media?
I've done a few, yeah.
So I guess moving on to, do you mind talking about the day of or the leading up to the day?
Not like I can't discuss too much. Yeah. So I don't mind. No.
Okay.
Just not too graphic. Yeah.
Right. I think I read it was the 2 days before the big event. He took your vehicle and tried to run you over. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I wanted to go home that day, so I think he was already just coming up with something to get mad at me about. That's how it all started, and then he found a reason to get mad at me. Then he kept egging me on, and by the time like I was already sick of like how he like always talked to me like that. Like, so I kind of like punched him first, and then we kind of just ruffled down the road, and he rolled up his scale and made it into a pointy object, and then he hit me with it repeatedly as I was driving.
Sorry, he rolled up a what?
A scale? Like a drug.
Oh, okay.
Like even a food scale. Let's just say food scale. I don't even think those are drug scales. They're food scales.
Right.
Anyway.
Just dealers also use them, is all.
Right? Yes. Anyways. So yeah, we were fighting down the road, and then we got to Damien and Sky's approach, and that's when I fell out, and then that's when his mom came running. Well, I honked the horn too at the same time before I fell out, and he was trying to trying to choke me with his knee, like trying to get me out of the driver's seat so he could take my vehicle. But I opened the door and I slid out really fast, and then I seen his mom and I ran to her, and that's when he got back into my vehicle and sped up towards us really fast. Yeah. Me and his mother. So I thought he was going to hit us, but then he ended up slamming on the brakes. And then his brother came not long after. And then
Damien.
Yeah. I just went running into his car and locked all the doors, and he was going to hit his vehicle with my vehicle. But his brother yelled at him to stop, and he stopped.
After that, he went off and did whatever he did, but at this point, where did you go? You left the community and you went somewhere else?
Yes, I went to Saskatoon because he stole my bank card and my IDs, so I had to race back home before my bank closed because I had money in there, like my child tax, my rent money, let's just say that, was in there. And he took my cards, so I looked for them and they were gone. So I had an extra one at home. So I raced back to Saskatoon and went to my bank. First place I went. Well, actually, I went home first to get like a hat and sunglasses. And
so you guys actually lived in Saskatoon?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you lived on to James Smith?
No. I do
Okay.
now, but I
Okay.
wasn't at the time. We
I
moved
see.
there in the fall of 2021. I wasn't even supposed
Okay.
to move with him, but he moved us up there secretly.
So at this point, he's actually on parole, and
Yeah.
he's not supposed to be around you.
Yeah. And he was released
And
on a Section 84.
I don't know what that
He
is.
was eligible. He was eligible for that.
Oh, okay.
So that was closure too, like to learn that, because a lot of people were angry about that. Like, well, how did he get out? But he was eligible.
Did you know that he wasn't supposed to be around you?
No, I didn't know that. He lied about that, and they didn't even tell me either. Like the parole board.
So you're in Saskatoon. You're at home. You've gone to your bank, and you're shutting everything down. At what point did you realize what was happening? Or at what point did you realize Myles was doing what he was doing? I don't know how to say it without sounding graphic, but how do you know he was? You know what I'm asking?
Like on September 4th, or like assaulting people prior, because he was. They were
the day before. He was kind of going around beating up people, right?
Yeah.
And you had heard about that?
Yeah, I heard it through Sky Blue, like her Snapchats. So I was kind of shocked that he didn't get arrested, and I was kind of hoping he would get arrested. Because I couldn't sleep that night either. I thought they would come to my house and, beat me up. Well, not Damien, but Myles.
Right. There was going to be a bunch of drama and a bunch of shit. Yeah. Well, and a lot of the people that he abused, like your last name Burns, that's a very prominent name on the reserve. And so were you related to a lot of these people that?
Like distant.
Okay.
Like our grandparents were related,
Gotcha.
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, like our grandparents were cousins, and there's a lot of people that carry the Burns name here, so I think we're pretty much all related. Yeah.
Right. So now,
right.
Yeah. Okay. So then, you heard he was beating up people. You're worried he was going to come home, do something. I mean, you've been with him for quite a while at this point, and you knew he would come home and be violent with you. Yeah. The whole reason he was out there was he was selling drugs. Is that right? Is that kind of the reason why he went out?
Part of the reason. I believe not. Okay. Like, I think he was planning this. I think he had this plan. That's my belief. Because he didn't really care about the drug money or nothing. Like, don't you think he would have cared about that stuff? And then during the inquest, they learned that he had, like, some pretty good stuff, and why waste that, Like, the way he went out, the way he did.
Right. So you think before he even came out there, he had planned to...
Yeah.
Oh, so what made you? Why'd you think that?
Well,
I mean, you didn't think about it until afterwards, I guess. But
for sure. Well, I didn't really figure it out until after, because just the way he was acting during those times, he would be acting really nervous and quiet. It got to a point where he was trying to tell me something, but he couldn't tell me it, and I was just like, but I forgot about it later, so I didn't really care to ask. Because I just know Myles, and he talks crazy a lot. Like, that was just what I knew about Myles. That he liked to talk like a tough guy, So things like that were just natural for me when he talked crazy. And then also learning what Sky Blue said, like when a month prior, probably July or June, he was going down to the reserve because we broke up from May to August. That's how long I didn't see him for. And I guess he was coming down here and talking crazy, she said. Like, this was before the tragedy. This was like in July. He was talking crazy, saying that he was going to kill me. But they were also drinking too. So, I don't know. I didn't think anything of it until, I guess, now that I think back on it, like, he didn't really care about the sales and the dealing. Maybe he was planning, like that's...
Right. And I mean, you've heard him threaten you before, so that was no big... Yeah. It wasn't like...
that coercive control or coercive control. So, yeah.
So you kind of brushed that off and thought, well, whatever. But
yeah, you said this before. But you didn't do it. So, the thing.
Yeah, it's always afterwards that you can look back and think, okay, it was a little bit, he was different. Even though he's done this kind of talk and stuff before, it was different. Yeah. Interesting. Sure. So when did you find out that he was actually going around and like taking lives?
It wasn't until September 4th, about 8 a.m. I stayed up late that night, obviously. worried. And then I fell asleep, and then I woke up, checked my phone, and my son called me repeatedly. And also there was a text saying that my dad tried to kill me. And I just knew right then, like, oh my God, so I phoned him. And then I also phoned my mom at the same time because he told me what all happened. So I was kind of in shock. I was like, no way. So I had to phone my mom, and my sister answered the phone, and my sister told me again what happened. And then at that time, I only just thought it was my father and chicken, because that's all she said. And that's all we knew. Well, that's Christian head. We call him chicken. That's all I knew at that time. But I didn't know until later about the rest.
So for people that don't know, he kind of started this around 5:36 a.m. in the morning, went to your parents' house. Your son was there, and he attacked your parents and your son. And then that's why your son was obviously texting you and stuff. Man. So what was going through your head when you found out that he had taken your father's life and that?
Oh, I didn't find out yet because he was gone on his bus. So.
Right. Bunny Hugs and Mental Health is supported by Co-op. I've been a member of my local co-op, Sherwood Co-op, for about 20 years. If you live in Western Canada, especially the prairies, or spent any time here, you've probably fueled up or bought groceries at a co-op. You might even have a co-op number, or 2, or 3. You know if you know. But co-op is not just a gas bar or grocery store. Although co-op is those things too, it's a different kind of business. Co-op members are owners, and success is shared with everyone. Your co-op doesn't benefit one person or one corporation. Your co-op was built for everyone. Your co-op was built for your community. Learn more about co-op and find a location near you at co-op.crs.
I was just thinking all kinds of thoughts, but I was like so worried about my dad. We didn't find out until 20 minutes after. I was on the phone with her. What was going on through my head was, I have to get out of here because what if he's coming here? That's what I thought. So I had to get my kids up. Like I just yelled for them to get up, and then the alert started coming on. So that's when they were like, "What's going on?" And we all kind of panicked, and we all got in the car. I was like, "Just grab anything, whatever your stuff, fast." And they grabbed whatever they could. And they're like, "What's going on? What's going on?" I didn't tell them until we got in the car. Till we're all settled in there and locked. I locked everything, and then I just sat there for a little bit, and then I just thought, like, where am I supposed to go? Like, I have nowhere to go. I was like, he attacked my parents' house. I don't want to go to the reserve because he's down there. Like, what if he attacks our car and, like, my kids are in here, like, he knows how my vehicle looks. So that's what was going through my head, like, just complete panic.
So where did you end up going?
Over to my cousin's house. They ended up pulling up shortly after. And for a second, I thought that was Myles because they said he was in a white SUV. So I was so scared. I thought that was him. But I looked, and it was my cousin's. And I was relieved. And we went to a Tim Hortons at first. And we grabbed coffee. And then we went back to her house.
Not a sponsor. Great coffee, though.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. No, that's okay.
Yeah. That's where I kind of
Sorry, I'm such a smart ass. Even during serious conversations,
no,
I can't
it's
help
okay. It's cool. Laughter is the best medicine.
Sorry. You guys went to Tim Hortons.
That's what I found out about my father. Yeah. There.
So how'd you find out?
My sister said that Barry confirmed it, that my Uncle Barry, because he was the one driving around the scenes and panicking, I guess, too, at the same time, because he didn't know what was going on. And he told us then that my father passed away. And we just all cried there, had a moment. And
you told your kids?
Yeah, they heard because I had my sister on speaker.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And they knew that it was because of their father?
Yes.
Ugh,
yeah.
Man, that's got to be... Oh, man.
Yeah, they were pretty sad. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Talk about generational trauma now.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you have to worry about your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you do that? How do you go about making sure they have a normal life and normal children and they don't pass on this trauma?
Oh, for sure. Kids? Like we've been trying to break this cycle for a long time. Me and my own family, like I think if I didn't leave a lot of times, they would think that kind of life was normal. But they seen me leaving and then knowing that that's not normal. And my dad also had a lot to do with it too. He would talk to them about that, like saying it's not right to hit women. Like he would really talk to my boys about that. Because I would talk to them about it too, like seeing that they witnessed some things. And I would talk and ask them. And they're like, no, we're not like that. And I'm like, oh, that's good. And they would like brag, like Papa always talks to us like that, like told us that's not right. So yeah,
good. Yeah,
he was a big help. But, yeah.
When did you find out that there was like he was just going around and like
right?
He was off the rails.
When we were sitting at my cousin's house, like about as half an hour as we got there, that's when we started getting the messages that how much people he attacked and stabbed and try to kill, and we were just in shock. And like we were sitting outside too because I couldn't sit inside. I was like, I don't even know, my anxiety was just high that day. Like I was, how would you say that? Like you're there but you're not there. Like you're like things didn't feel real to me that day.
Right.
And we would find out through family members like how many people he attacked, and then the stars airplanes were going by, and that's when it became real. Like this was unbelievable. And then the hospitals would post that they had a code orange, and that made it more real, that they were closed and no one could go there. And it was pretty shocking. And then the fact that my mom was in there and I couldn't go see her right away because I was kind of scared still because he was out there.
Right, yeah. Right, that's a good point. Your father had passed, but your mother was attacked and injured. Is she... like, has she healed from her physical wounds? Yeah. Okay.
She still has a little health concern, but other than that, she's getting better and healthier and stronger. But she's still like, adjusting without my father. You can just feel it. You can tell she misses him so much. Yeah.
Right.
Well, we all do.
And there must be. Yeah, he seems like a very nice man from what I've read and heard and stuff. Not that I did. I try not to do too much reading before I talk to a guest because I kind of like to hear it from them. But everything I've read and heard, he sounds like he was just a good man. He was a school bus driver. He was a pillar of the community. Yeah,
for sure.
And now your mother's also loved his grandkids. Yeah. Does he? So do you have siblings with kids as well?
Yeah.
He's got lots of grandkids.
Oh, he has more regular. There's only 3 of us, and he has a lot of grandchildren. So each of us have 5, so that's a lot of grandchildren. Well, no, my brother has 4. Sorry, I guess I jinxed him.
There's one on the way, maybe.
My sister just finally caught up to me, so that's what they get for teasing me. Me, I'm done. Better knock on wood. Just kidding.
That's right. Yeah, you better get a procedure done just in case.
Yeah. That's crazy. I practically raised them alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, and now your mom has to also, not just physical wounds, there's the trauma of like she was there and she saw it.
Yeah.
And oh man.
Oh, my niece was also in here as well. My sister's daughter. So my dad pretty much saved them. He saved all of them. Because if he didn't do what he did, I think Myles wouldn't have stopped in here. Yeah.
Right.
Because,
so you could have lost your mother
and
the kids, a niece.
Because
so what did
it just seems like he didn't have he wouldn't care who he stabbed. He even stabbed a youth. So that's what kind of sits in my mind too. Like if my dad didn't do what he did, Myles would have just left everybody in this house dead.
So what did your dad do? He fought him off, or?
Okay, they were fighting, and then I don't know exactly. We don't know what happened between him and Myles. It's between them, but what we figure is my dad fell, and Myles seen my mom because he thought he stabbed her. He thought he let her go, but he seen that she was alive, so he chased her up the stairs, and then he went into the room and he stabbed her a couple times. And my dad went running outside into his bus, and he started up his bus, and then Myles heard the bus and he thought that was somebody coming, so Myles took off.
So why did your dad start the bus?
I don't
for
know.
that reason?
He chased him anyway
Oh.
after Myles drove off. I think he was
Right,
just
right.
trying to get Myles out any way he could. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I could
Well,
reveal like how many times my dad was stabbed, but he was stabbed a lot. And for him to have that much strength to get into a bus and go as far as he did, it was pretty strong of him.
I'm so sorry that, man, I'm just so sorry that you've had to deal with this. And, yeah. And then Myles, yeah, it would sound like he was attacking people that had nothing to do with anything. He was just randomly going house to house. And did you think he was capable of something like this?
Nothing that major, but I always like thought maybe just me, you know, like just myself.
Mm-hmm.
Not the way he did it, but honestly thought he would just hurt me.
Right, which still kind of sounds fucked up, but I mean, I suppose that makes. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of women can see their partner hurting them, but not going on this spree of
other people like that. It's just a shock.
So he does this. It's like within a half an hour. There's like 28 different people that he stabbed, and then he goes missing. And there's a manhunt for him for days. What the hell is going through your mind? And how are you feeling while this is, he's already taken your dad's life and all these other people's lives?
I was worried. I was laying low.
Would you say you were hiding?
Pretty much, yes. I was always in my hotel room.
Okay.
I would make sure no one said where I was, just in case. Because I just found out, like, in the inquest now that I guess I was on his target list, too. Like, he had a list, I guess. And I was probably, they say, they're not too sure, though, that I was probably his last victim. That's why he was going to Saskatoon to come and finish his mission. They call it a mission. So, yes, I was really scared. And just, also scared, for putting people in danger around me. Like, that's one thing, too, I was concerned for.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Or you have a really good feeling that he's coming for you. Yeah. So you realize that everyone around you must be in danger too if you're near them. So I just were hiding out in a hotel in Saskatoon?
In Prince Albert.
Oh, okay. Okay. And he had no idea where you were?
No, I don't think so.
And your kids were with you,
yes.
I take it? Even the one that was at your mom and dad's earlier?
Yes, he came and joined us. Well, he was there before me. I didn't get there until about 5 p.m. I heard a rumor Myles was in Saskatoon. I was like, I'm leaving. I gotta go. It was just a rumor, though, so it wasn't true.
Oh, God, yeah. I remember the rumors, over those 2 days, how many alerts did we get? It's like, if you see this vehicle in this area, warning. And then it was like 3 hours later, it was like completely different vehicle in a different area. It's like, holy shit, what is going on? Like,
yes.
Yeah, it was a nationwide thing. It wasn't like just a local thing. It was a massive thing. So when did you find out that he was detained or that he was caught?
On September 7th. It was late in the afternoon. I didn't even find out by the cops. I found out by my family. The word just spread so fast. As the vehicles were passing, the witnesses, they're the ones that spread the word really fast. So that's how I found out.
I remember that. Because it was such a big deal, people, because he was pulled over on the highway, well, not pulled over, actually, he was kind of pushed off the road by the police. Everybody that drove by on either side had their phones out and were filming it and then putting it on social media. Yeah. That's so bananas to me, man.
Well, that's how I found out that he was caught. Thanks to social media.
It's a different time we're living in.
And then not long after that, he passed away. So then I found that out and through my family. And I went told these investigators because I had to go talk to them. We kind of found out together there about everything.
That he had gone.
Yeah. And then they called and confirmed it. And then they confirmed it with me that he really did pass away. And I seen that in his last inquest. Like the high-speed chase and the maneuver that they did to take him off the road. And yeah, he died shortly after being arrested. So we saw that, and that was the closure for a lot of his family because they didn't know how he passed away. But now we know.
I remember at the time there was rumors that he had eaten a bunch of cocaine. Is that kind of what they've decided happened?
I don't think he ate it. He snorted it, I'm pretty sure. Like within that
okay.
time. They seen him
Gotcha.
moving something to his nose 3 times.
Oh, I see.
And they found it after. And that was the cause of his death. Yeah.
And do you think that was, he tried to overdose?
Oh, yeah, that's what I think so, yeah. Because he was kind of talking, I wouldn't say suicidal, but I just think he just did that because his mission failed. So that's what they say.
Man, I can't imagine that kind of trauma in my community, in my family, my partner, my parents. I mean, it sounds like it's affected every ounce of your life. Doesn't matter where you turn, someone will, it's, yeah. So
I think it impacted a lot of our lives around here. Even the first responders. For sure. Like, yeah. A lot of them,
I can imagine, yeah.
Retired, and yeah.
Well, yeah, it was like 3 or 4 days in a row of just high alert. Yeah. First responders, police, everybody. Yeah. I kind of skipped the part where, so for a while, they thought his brother Damien was with him and was part of this mission. Eventually, they found him passed away too as a victim. Yes. Did you think he was part of it too?
At first,
like when you heard the reports?
I was shocked. Like, I was like, no way. Like, he can't. But at first, yes, I was, I thought. But as we went to the hotels in the evening, a lot of survivors' families were there. And they would talk and say that a lot of them didn't see Damien with Myles. Even my mom said that. She said, I didn't see Damien. And she looked in his vehicle and she only seen Myles. By the nightfall, we knew Damien wasn't with Myles. We were just wondering where he was.
Eventually, he was found in a field where he had succumbed to his wounds. Yeah. Yikes. How do you deal with this trauma now? I suppose right after... It's different. You treat it differently than because it's been about a year and a half now. But right after it happened, how did you kind of deal with this trauma?
About a couple months after, I reached out to a therapist that was offered to us. They sent in a bunch of mental health teams to come in, just sit and wait, I guess, for people to come to them. They didn't force it upon anybody. It was just up to them. And I just needed to talk to someone, right? Because I don't know how someone cannot reach out. Like, how could they just not reach out with this tragedy? Like, it was bugging me every day. So I reached out to a therapist and she really helped me throughout that time. I was still a mess though, grieving. I cried pretty much every day.
Did you grieve for Myles too? Because that must have been very complicated. It's like, here's the father of my children, someone I loved, but he also caused this horrible shit.
Oh yeah, I was in there too. It was just mixed emotions. For him and I was grieving him, and Damien too was also a good friend of mine. Like he's a godfather to a couple of my children. I always talk to him in Sky. So
who's Sky?
That's his wife, Damien's wife.
Oh, okay. And she passed too?
No, she's around. She's grieving him too. She's not doing so good. I just pray for her. That's all I can do.
Has there been like elders and like your cult, the community and your culture, have they kind of been a help?
Yes, they've been coming out here. That's how I got back into sweat lodges. I haven't went into one since they came here right after the tragedy. In the fall time, they would gather, and it's up to them if they wanted to take part. And I did because, why not? I need to reach out. That's what really helped me get through this, is helping me get through this tragedy, is reaching out. I took some programs too that helped me realize a lot of things.
And your kids too,
My kid? I still don't know how to help them. But so far there's days they don't want to go to school because their grandfather was a bus driver, so they're really grieving him, and then they have to deal with bullies, like because that's their father, right? And kids would bring it up, and so
brutal. And
my oldest has been reaching out too. I talk to him a lot, make sure that he's reaching out, and he's had a lot of support. There's a land-based team out here that helps him a lot, and I feel like that's really helped him too because he's been taking it since he was about 10. And he's 15 now, and he's He knows how to help around the house. Like, he knows how to go in the garden and get us vegetables, like stuff like that. And he loves to fish.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to say. They might not heal from this until they're in their 40s or something, and it's gonna be a long road, and it's gonna be a lot of work, and that's something I've learned too through my healing process. It's a long process. It's consistent. Are you smoking?
No, I'm blowing my nose. Just blowing my nose.
She went off camera. She's smoking or vaping or something.
What the
Is this TikTok? You have to do it off camera or you'll get kicked off.
Good one. Yeah.
Did you purposely go back to your community after the event so that you could kind of be with the community and heal together? Or was it just circumstantial that you went back?
It was a bit of a few things to help my mom because she wasn't able.
Oh, right, of course.
Yeah, she couldn't do a lot of things like clean up or cook. So I had to come in. And plus I was kind of scared, because, I don't know, Myles knows people. And I don't know what he was capable of doing. Like, if he's capable of doing that, what else is he capable of? I was just kind of like on hypervigilance, is that what you call it? Like feeling like I was going to get attacked again. And I still kind of live like that. So
that constant fight or flight mode, they call it. Or whatever.
So, yeah. In a way to, I guess, heal with my community. But it's just up to them, eh? So there's just a few of us that want to be sober. They want to live a sober life. And there's some that are just, maybe one day they'll find their way. Mm-hmm.
So you've been sober since the event?
Yeah. Well, not quite. I kind of relapsed a few times. But it made me realize that I don't want to go down that road again.
It's not easy, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just over 7 years sober.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
It took a lot of fucking up to come to the realization that, maybe it's the alcohol. And I know that's like alcoholism's now it's drug use even too. Yeah. It's a big thing in Indigenous culture now. It's like, I don't know how or why or whatever, but and then gangs and like when I was younger it was alcoholism and now it's like meth and fentanyl and everything else and fucking people are dropping like flies.
Mm-hmm. Or even just living like that gang life, like your life is cut in half from what I see.
Was Myles in a gang?
No.
Was he a gang member?
No. But I've known a lot of people that like in younger generations, I noticed, are leaning towards the gang life. Yeah. Right.
There's that acceptance and that connection. But so it's almost like a cult too. It's like they love bomb you and pump your tires up and then you come in there and
and they'll end your life for a Weasley $200. Just kidding.
Yeah. But it's true though. It's true. So be diligent. Keep your kids out of gangs.
Yep. And the drugs.
Is your 15-year-old?
Stay away from drugs. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep your 15-year-old pulling vegetables as opposed to pulling drugs. I don't know. Do you pull drugs? I don't know.
I wish it was that easy.
Be like me, kids. Stay sober.
Yeah.
Or like us.
Alcohol's not fun.
I mean, it kind of was for a while, but I don't lie. But no, I'm going to cut that out.
The party's over.
That's right. What would you tell other women that are in abusive relationships? What could you tell them?
I can't really tell them anything. Just kidding, because I was told everything and I didn't listen. I think the best thing you can do is like keep a record of the abuse. Like, even if you have to charge them, or even a friend, or even just keeping pictures, because you're going to get sick of it one day, and you're going to need that evidence, because he will use it against you to take away the kids or something. And just to be strong. Like, I know it's hard to be strong some days when someone's knocking you down, but I think praying also helped me get through a lot of things. I prayed a lot.
So what was it when other people told you, like, this guy's no good, get away from him?
It just kind of makes you want to stay with them, in a psychological way. I don't even know how to describe it. You got to be careful what you say to them, because if you keep bashing their spouse, then they're probably going to get defensive, maybe. So, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, man. So
it's very complex.
And everybody's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is complex. I couldn't. Yeah.
right?
So if you could say something to Myles today, if you had like 5 minutes with him, what would you say to him today if you could?
5 minutes. Oh my god! I first I'd yell at him.
Or
Just kidding. I'm kidding. I just wish you had a chance in life, so you didn't have to do what you did. I don't know what I would say. Kind of hard. What would I say?
yeah,
Yeah,
I know,
something
that's a
like
hard
that.
question.
Like,
In a way, you have empathy for him. Still,
yeah,
it's not like
yeah. Because they
That's-
say he wasn't born a killer. He was just, I guess, his childhood really had something to do with it, like the neglect and lack of stability, a lot of things. That's one thing too I learned in this inquest, like just to love your children, you know. That's how you're gonna break these cycles. If you just love them and listen to them, you know, it's gonna go a long way. And he faced a lot of rejection too in his childhood, so that's number one too, like accept your children.
Thank you so much for this, Vanessa. I can only imagine how difficult it was to live through that, and then a year and a half later having to do the inquest and relive it all again. So I very much appreciate that you were willing to speak with me shortly after all of that happened, because you really didn't have to. So I appreciate that. And I think women that are listening that can relate appreciate it as well. I know there's all types of people out there being abused, whether it's verbally or sexually or emotionally and physically, by their partners, and I know Saskatchewan is ranked very high in Canada for that kind of abuse. So thank you so much for being so open and for allowing others to listen and relate. Before I go, I would also like to thank all the staff and students at Cornwall Alternative School in Regina. They let me hang out there all morning the other day, and it is such an incredible school. I instantly fell in love with the school and with the staff and all the students. It's a very small school. It is for children that are struggling with mental health issues and maybe aren't quite getting the attention they need in your mainstream high schools. A lot of their activities and even the operating costs and teachers' wages actually rely on donations. So if you could Google, well, actually I'll put it in the show notes, but you can also Google Cornwall Alternative School in Regina and feel free to send some kind of a donation, whether it's in kind or money. I'm going to be hanging out there a couple more times this month, and I really look forward to it. If you would like me to come to your school or to speak at your school, whether it's in person or online or virtual, I guess they call it, please feel free to reach out to me, bunnyhugspodcast@gmail.com, and we can work something out. And if you're not following me on Instagram yet, please do that. Bunny Hugs Podcast on Instagram or on Facebook, Bunny Hugs Mental Health. But anyway, that's it for this week. I've got another great guest next week, so stay tuned. And until then, please remember to make your beds and take your meds. Bye.